You're right, all. So I've had a conversation with someone earlier, and they mentioned this story about the asylum seekers going home for Christmas, and my response to that was, well, that kind of reminds me of soldiers on R&R. So similar to, I've admitted it before, when I served in Afghan as a young lad over a decade ago. Obviously you get your R&R packages. So into your 6 month tour, you'll get a good 2 week stint where you go home. And it just reminds me of that. Also, when I drove past Derby Station Hotel, they were stood outside on the phones having a cigarette. And again, it just reminded me of the lads outside the barracks, having a cigarette. So what I want to cover now is basically, so Neil Hamilton and his missus say we've got a completely useless government. I would completely disagree with that, because the government doesn't serve us anymore. They are, in my opinion, working against our interests. As I reiterate, I believe these people living in hotels aren't asylum seekers. They're all men, and I personally believe that they're here for the next time the government gets the opportunity to impose another lockdown. And to cover, well, they are hinting at this all the time, by the way, new Divock strains and all the rest of it. But I'm going to use a couple of movies, British ones as well, to also kind of back my points up. So, by the way, I believe movies aren't just entertainment. I believe they are the powers that shouldn't be. The people who, like Rick Mail said, if you ever come across that clip of Rick Mail.
You don't know? Viewers, you don't know who the cameraman is. You don't know why you're being made to see these things. Nor do I. You're seeing me. I can't even see you. I may be dead by the time you watch this. Very possibly are. You don't know who's the man who's making things he wants you to see. Destroy your television sets now.
So there you go. And it's spot on. You don't know why you're being made to see these things. And this movie, Children of Men, which came out back in 2006, I remember watching this as a young lad. The world was very nice back then, partly because I was young and ignorant and naive, and obviously childlike. But at the same time, there was a better vibe in the world, without a doubt. The real social decay and rot really hadn't begun to set in big time. And this Rwanda plan that's being talked about at the minute is, again, it's all very telling. This is like part of the script. So in the movie Children of Men, there's these deportation camps for migrants and refugees and asylum seekers. And also, if you go on to Years and Years, which is a BBC programme, there's these erstwhile camps, as they call them, where people are housed. Again, it's all migrants, refugees, asylum seekers. But in reality, what I think is probably going to happen is, and there's a scene in Children of Men, where there's this horrific scene here where they arrive into one of the deportation camps, and this guy gets on here. There's this sort of weird UK border force sort of thing that's come up. We no longer wear individual cap badges, it's like a beret with the UK on it. Now I think if you flip things around though, in my opinion, it probably won't be migrants. The guy stood up there in the centre will actually be one of these people living in the hotels at the minute, and that'll be us, the British people, once they, or the people who don't take part in another procedure, once the government gets a bit more control, basically. I don't know, you may think I'm talking out my arse, but as I say, movies and dramas and entertainment to me are predictive programming, showing us what they're planning. There's that old saying, oh well, that's just a movie. Well, the TV, the news, should I say, the news is complete bollocks. It's a fabricated story to manipulate you to believe a certain thing. But entertainment is them showing what they want. And I think this is the future of what they want. So that's Children of Men. Years and Years, it's the same story basically. Also in Years and Years, you've got this 6G technology, 6G, 7G, and as I say, there's these erstwhile camps where like people are housed and people basically just disappear, and it's there's some similarities there between what's already going on with the hotels, the migrant hotels. Like with the security guards and yeah. So basically, my main point. I mean, this is a different topic, but it's such an insidious drama as years and years. It's really horrible. I mean, these are degenerate transhuman people who have basically implanted technology into their bodies, and that's how they're doing all that black magic stuff. Controlling the computers with the hands without touching anything. They've become transhuman, basically, which is again obviously going on to a different topic, but to do with the transgender thing. To finish off, basically, I just think this is all part of a script. This has been planned well in advance. I don't think any of this has just happened by accident. I don't think the government is really that incompetent and stupid that they let millions of migrants in and do nothing about it without a plan. And this Rwanda bollocks, if it comes out, it was part of their plan, because movies like Children of Men back in 2006. Order out chaos again. So they've created all this chaos, and obviously they've got the British public getting more and more wound up now, so they demand something to happen. Oh, not a problem, we'll start creating deportation camps and getting rid of people, which would be fine, but it has to be said, I think that could be used in a way to get rid of people they don't like. So someone that, like myself basically, someone who doesn't really go along with their narrative. I don't know, food for thought. Oh, and to be fair, what I was going to say as well is, people will be out drinking tonight, having a good time. It's Christmas Eve as of 1 minute ago, and that's fine. People may say, I need to lighten up and kind of get amongst it, and I would say really with the way things are now, you can have your parties and going out and all the rest of it, but there's real chaos just around the corner. I personally think within the next year or two things are going to get very sour, very quick, and it's the same as 2019. I was aware, but I personally believed in 2020 something was around the corner. Funnily enough, 2020 happened, and I was already prepared for it, so I didn't get worried or anything. I wasn't bothered. But the normies who don't think this way, who are wrapped up in celebrities and football and getting pissed, and bred in circuses and all the rest of you bollocks, they're lost souls. And if you haven't woken up by now after everything that's happened over the last 3 years, well, and with the partying thing as well, I've got to add in there. The partying thing is great, but you normally party when you've achieved something. So when we're in a good state in this country, that'll probably be a good time to party. At the minute we're sort of like the fall of the Roman Empire, getting pissed up and smashed, and that's all well and good, but you're being distracted from much bigger, more dangerous things that are going on in the background.